somewhere near me is Mike Jones. Hello, Mike.
Hey, Dale. How's it going this evening?
Well, we went to a meeting last night at the Ivy Airport, and it seemed like it was about helicopters and noise, but that's not really what it was about. Now, okay. Well, no, that's why I tuned in because I thought you were going to cover it. We are going to cover this, but look, we do several things on this show. One is, I don't want this to sound maudlin, but we give people some hope because up until now, they've had no media at all that was on the side of the regular folks. I mean, they're still saying in the television stations in Medford, well, once again, it looks like the people just were too stupid to vote for. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, obviously, too stupid to vote for a safety levy, and so they're just trying to keep them safe. And when are you going to be able to keep them safe, sheriffs? I just don't know. As he said the last time they interviewed him, I think people are tired of not voting to raise their property taxes. What? So you have that all the time. You've had until just recently a really bad guy. I don't mind saying that was doing most of the writing for the Daily Courier, blocking the news. That's just recently changed. And then you've got the county commissioners who are they're pumping it out every day. So one thing that we do is we do give people some kind of hope that they've got some kind of media that's listening to them. Mike, you shared with me a little bit of what you thought once we arrived at that meeting and about people that kept coming up to us. What did you observe there?
I'm not sure what you're exactly referring to. So,
well, you said that was maybe the most recognition that we've gotten at a meeting.
Yes. Yeah, it's clear that a lot of these guys out at the Ivy airport or in the Ivy are watching the show because I guess they want to keep up to date on what's happening, with this situation and with other things that impact them that is going on in the county. It's understandable.
We were generally hailed as heroes when we got there. And while you won't see that on our clips tonight, there were 2 or 3 people that referred directly to badcounty.com as their source for more information about a variety of situations, including, of course, manor development.
Cheryl, gotta hate that.
No, absolutely. Yes. Right. And on today's KJO show, they were directly referring to us. And the commissioners, you can hear them quoting from us, or the emails that have been generated by you from clicking on those buttons that are not on the side now, but they will be tomorrow. They're commenting about those. Oh, these people are saying those emails, and it's got to stop. It's got to stop? No. It's got to increase.
Yeah. So, hey, listen, before we jump any further into this, I'm a long way delayed in addressing this. The other day, I got a letter from Margaret Goodwin, and she informed me that I had been giving out some bad information as to the timber money that came after the budget situation had closed. And you remember the timber money from heaven.
That they hadn't expected, yes.
That they hadn't expected. I had been referring to that as money that was that the commissioners could spend in any way that they wanted to, and that apparently is not true. Title I Forest Service funds that came in after the budget was approved is not money that can be used for anything the commissioners want. That is dedicated road dollars. That the House Bill 4175 specifically allows Josephine County and 6 other counties to allocate to sheriff's patrols if they want to. So just for the record, just so everybody knows, I want to be clear. I misstated that. That is incorrect. That money could have been used for any other thing. However, it could have still been given to the sheriff's department to fund rural patrols, which is the thing everybody says that they want anyway. So
that was the goal, as I thought when we were talking about it. Why don't you spend it on this? Right. Okay, so they cannot use it for Simon Hare's travel all over the state. Okay,
right,
but they can use it to try to keep us safe.
Yes.
Nice. Oh, by the way, as long as we're talking about that kind of thing, we've just recently, partly due to our efforts, there were four main people that were involved in this. There were hundreds of people. Well, I don't know, but there were a lot of people. But there were four main people. The two people that did the tests on the water to find that there was no arsenic in it, and the nice people that that did the actual physical tests for them. And then Mike and I telling everybody about it, making sure that it got out as widely as possible, and also calling the TV stations, talking with the courier about it. We tried to disseminate information also behind the scenes. And so the point of that was that, $135,000, 135,000, would you like to make that? Was freed up just this year. A total of about $600,000. That's, hey, it came from the general fund. Oh, yeah, we're swimming in money. Now we can do that. You know what? I think that we should turn that over to sheriff's patrols.
Yeah. Why not? I mean, they made such a quick and seemingly easy decision to spend that money at that time. So why can't they now make just as simple of a decision to give that much or more to the sheriff? Because I'm sure that we still have plenty of that money sitting over there in the road department. Rob Brandis is probably trying to figure out ways to spend it. And
emergency striping.
Right. So why don't we let the sheriff figure out ways of spending it? And at least then it'll be sitting in the proper department, if you're asking me.
Well, you could have the sheriff sit down. The three legs of the stool that they were always talking about, this emergency situation that we're in. He could sit down with the district attorney and with the head of juvenile justice, and they could decide among themselves, because you're not going to be able to do anything. I mean, if you pick people up and you've got nowhere to put them, or you've got no way to prosecute them or let them go, then that's not going to work. And so they all need to be funded for that. And so it's an incremental thing that raises up all the boats, because if you've got more money, okay, now let's share it. They're going to have to share it, or then you've got too much of this and not enough of that. Is this too much common sense for the? Yes, it's too much common sense for the commissioner.
Perhaps.
Okay, so the thing that we're doing tonight. Well, where's the video? Where's the video? Look, we're going to be playing back some snippets from last night. I thought when we went there, okay, maybe we're going to get this on tomorrow night, because the thing lasted a long time. Okay, I thought public comments would be about an hour. And Mike asked me, how long will we be there? I said, well, public comments will be about an hour. No, we were there for more than 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And then we left the meeting. The part of the meeting after public comments was still going on.
Yeah.
I was driving home, and it was dark and foggy, and Sandy Casanelli followed my brake lights, which were on a lot. That's kind of a little bit of a treacherous thing with fog and darkness and, doom of night? No, gloom of night, not doom of night. I hope not. Anyway, so you're involved in our show. You're investigative journalists with us. A number of you have been calling us, yay, thank you, and sending us emails about how to follow up on things. Some of them are a little goofy, but most of them are full of facts, full of something, like we are. And so we're following through it because we're your television station. You have one here. It's in Grants Pass and in Josephine County and in the Ivy and in Merlin. We're here. So I wanted to put on as much as that as I could. Now, Mike's going to be speeding up the system. With his help, we're going to speed this up. But you've got to think, if I've got 2 or 2.5 hours, and we took 2 cameras with us, one for a wide shot, the other for the close-ups. Maybe this is more you want to know, but it's our show. We're telling you anyway. So it's all free. Just relax. We're going to show you the video. Don't worry. Stop asking me. Okay, so it takes 2.5 hours to pull in one. It takes 2.5 hours to pull in the other. Well, if it's 2 and 2, that's 4. That's half of a working day. Now, I work a lot more than half of a working day, but 4 hours just to pull it into the computer. So maybe there's no doubt that you're not going to see everything tonight, but here's what we're going to show you tonight. First, we're going to blather, because that's what we do. And then we're going to show you some clips from that meeting that happened last night about Erickson Air Crane and noise at the Ivy Airport. And then, as soon as I can, I'm going to put up a video with beautiful transitions and wide shots and close-up shots and all kinds of wonderful stuff so that you can see that on Facebook or on our website. So you're not going to see maximum beauty tonight. Mostly you're going to see close-ups, which were done best by Mike, not by me. I did the long shots. You're going to see those tonight. And we're going to talk a little bit about the context, because that's the other thing that we do here. And then if you just want to see nothing but the people speaking, then you can go and see the fully formed video that we're going to make. Is this all making sense? What do you think, Mike? Am I making sense? I try to. Yeah, he's asleep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're going to start off with the first person that had a question with what's happening at the Ivy Airport. Okay, go ahead, Mike. Play that clip, please.
I live over in O'Brien, and I also manage the nature center in Cape Junction. The noise from the airport has been steadily increasing over the last 10 years. When we first moved here 20 years ago, it was bearable, it was okay. We don't have an objection to emergency vehicles, police vehicles, fire vehicles. But increasing the level of noise on a regular daily basis is a horrific idea. It already disturbs both the animals at my house and the visitors when they come to the nature center. We have a future in nature-based tourism here, and having more airport noise like this is definitely going to impact that in a negative way, and impact quality of life in a negative way. I'm strongly opposed to it. I have complained about noise before and will continue to do so.
Okay. So, Mike, would you please, this lady I thought was a pretty good representation of some of the kinds of people, a category of people, if you will, that live in the IV and are basing their income today and their future income on things like environmental tourism. And this lady runs a wildlife preserve place, and they have this vision for themselves as being this tourist destination where people come, they move there because they want quiet, and they visit there because they want a slightly rustic, it's not downtown Grants Pass and it's not Chicago, slightly rustic environment to kind of sit and relax and enjoy nature. Is that an okay summary?
I think so. And whereas you know, if you're talking about an airport anywhere, there's nothing that ticks me off more than people that that move into houses that are new, that are built around airports, and then complain about the noise. But this is an entirely different sort of thing. This is not, you know, the normal comings and goings of small aircraft in an area like this. These choppers are mega loud. And it's interesting. We don't have, and it's soon to happen. I guess that they're going to have a test out there where they fly one of these big things out there. They have people out there with decibel meters to measure how much noise is being generated by this thing. And, you know, while it's under load and things of that nature. So, totally legit for these people to have a concern, especially, you know, she has a wildlife park. What happens if people come in to look at the wildlife and they're all hidden away in their bins because they're scared to death of this crazy noise?
You are going to have dinosaurs on this dinosaur tour, are you not?
It's right. Yes, I don't think they have dinosaurs. There's
right. Well, look at this over my shoulder.
Yeah, that's an Erickson air crane.
Right. Okay. So what's an air crane? I'm sorry. If you know all this, go watch the video, because we're going to talk for a while about this. An air crane is something that is powerful enough with the twin engines, and the whole setup is powerful enough and big enough to come down over an aircraft, not a 747, be real, but come down over an aircraft and pick up the entire aircraft and take it away.
Yeah.
These things are huge.
Yeah, they're super duper machines. There's no
Right.
question about it.
And some people say that these are the loudest helicopters on Earth.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
In fact, some very knowledgeable, aircrafty people were saying exactly that about this particular helicopter.
well, Mike and I both come from an aviation background. We both do. And so I'm not against wonderful aircraft. In fact, I think this thing is kind of cool. I wouldn't want it flying above my house at any time. Even Simon Hare earlier today, because I go to all the meetings for you. Okay. And he said that when this thing flew over, I guess to go do at least a pass by there, because the people had been invited, and then it just lasted for a few seconds. He said that he was out on his parents' farm, and he had earplugs and earmuff noise canceling headsets, and he could still hear it.
Yeah.
And he thought, well, that's kind of cool. I'm not sure that's kind of cool. Now, some of you are going to remember, or you've seen replays from old black and white from the I Love Lucy show, and there was a scene that I'll never forget. It's a classic, and they're out in some rustic cabin somewhere, and a train goes by, and the whole place starts hopping, and then pretty soon their bed is moving around all around the room, and they're in it. They're looking like, oh no, what's going to happen? Well, some of the people that came last night said they had a somewhat similar experience, maybe not the whole bed moving, but everything. One guy was talking about, the nails in the wall, and all this stuff was vibrating just from this thing going over one time.
Yeah.
It's super noisy. Now, I've described this also as, and this is accurate, if you haven't been on the deck of an aircraft carrier, sorry, but if you had, you're not going to survive on the deck of an aircraft carrier unless you're wearing really super duper military spec noise canceling headphones. And I thought it was interesting that several people at that meeting last night said, well, I've worked with helicopters. And did you notice, Mike, they all seem to have hearing aids.
Yeah, well, the one guy behind us had, and
Tom Acord, I think.
Yeah, but there was testimony there that basically most everybody that works with these helicopters for any given period of time does suffer some hearing damage.
Now let's be clear about this. We're talking about physically disabling noise levels. And the answer from our commissioner, Cheryl Walker, it's a Cheryl Walker project, okay, is that, well, maybe we could tell people when they're flying over, and then they can get ready. What? Get ready? Everybody put on your headphones?
Yes.
Really? Did you like that answer? Really? Now, oh, but we need the money. It's like $5,000 a year. We're going to need that money. And so everybody put on your headphones. What? I didn't put them on last time. I can't hear you anymore. Really? Is it physically damaging? Is it really that level of audio? That's kind of what it seems like at this moment.
Yeah, right. But listen, being a total outsider to this whole situation, I'm fairly objective to it, and I can see.
But you love aviation, and so do I. So okay.
Right. But some people are very passionate about this thing because they flat out don't want to have any part of this happening anywhere near their property. And listen, all of that is understandable, but there may be a little teeny bit of hyperbole in this. I'd love to see the tests. I'd love to hear it. But here's the thing. I've had those, they've got those Hueys that have the dip buckets on them, and they, for fighting the fires around here. And we saw a lot of
helicopters. Yes.
Right. Over the past number of years, 3 or 4 years, we've had a lot of fires around here and a lot of traffic, and we've had them fly right over the top of the house. And when those guys are flying right over the top of the house at, say, 1,500 feet, it is loud. It is super loud. And as a matter of fact, I've thought that they were right overhead and ran outside to catch a glimpse of them, only to see that they were, half a mile away. And I got to watch them for a couple of minutes after that.
Now imagine a helicopter several times louder than that. It's coming in every day for certain periods during all the nice weather.
Hours.
During all the nice weather.
Yes.
There goes tourism. During all the nice weather, of course they want to fly during nice weather. They're not idiots, okay? Yeah, and I'm not saying that they're bad guys in any way. And they have to hover for long periods of time, testing, okay, and picking up huge loads, which makes even more noise. Yeah. They could do this out in the desert or other places east of here, but for some reason, and they do it in several places, they'd like to do it in this bedroom community. What?
Yeah,
really?
I don't really understand the need. Why can't? Isn't there enough really desolate area around here where they could just have some place where they're using a clearing out in the middle of federal forest somewhere?
You know what the answer is. You know what it is. Our commissioners and Larry Graves, the airport's director, have said, "Hey, why don't you come here?" What's that? Why don't you come here?
Yeah.
They didn't just suddenly pick this out of, let's flip open a book. Oh, how about this place? Oh, that's in the middle of a community. Let's try that.
Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting to hear, and we were looking forward to maybe hearing some of that last night, but the people from Erickson Aircrane weren't there. Apparently the last time when they were there, nobody else knew that they were going to be there, so they didn't show up themselves.
There's a reason for that, and this is what brings in the other factor. You always have to count, there's the big vat of vanilla ice cream, and then there's that chocolate fudge swirl in the middle that's not fudge, okay? You have to bring that into account. Why is it that people didn't know? Well, the people who wanted everybody to hear this, they tried to put a notice, tried to make sure that the local newspaper run by Dan Mancuso, the IV News, that he let them know. But for some reason, Dan decided not to publish that. So they didn't know. And so they didn't come. And the IV Airport Board, although they may have good intentions, these people didn't know to come. And the people that did show up found that the Erickson Aircrane came by, and they thought that they were going to do some kind of demonstration, and they kind of stuck around for just a very short period of time and then took off. Some of them have said the reason why, I don't know, is that they saw that they had one of those decimal meters in their hands. Decibel meters. Okay. So I don't know, but now they're not going to be able to, nobody's going to be able to do this anymore, because they swear that this time they're, I don't know what they're going to do about Dan Mancuso at the IV News. Maybe the guy, but see, he's president of the Chamber of Commerce. And the guy running this meeting, Kenny Houck, the Chamber of Commerce. And always deferring to the commissioners. Well, the commissioners are going to be handing out, this commissioner is going to be handing out a fact sheet. And he says, and of course, we want to hear from the people and their exaggerations or unfounded concerns or not. That's a quote. Their exaggerations or unfounded concerns. Wait a minute, Kenny Houck, what are you saying here? He kept saying when Commissioner was talking, or when the airport director, well, that's a really good point. Oh, well, you need to note that what a good point that is. Oh, another really good one. Wait a minute. He started the whole meeting by saying the questions didn't really need to be answered. The questions that the people have didn't really need to be answered. And when somebody criticized the IV News and the chamber president, Kenny jumped all over that. Well, Cheryl was very pleased with Kenny and how he didn't really let the citizens get away with much during this meeting. She said so, not in exactly those words, thank you very much, that was a paraphrase, at today's meeting, how pleased she was with Kenny Houck. But other people really took a risk, because I know from personal experience, you say something about the county commissioners or their best laid plans, You're not going to be on that board much longer. It's by their whim. So there are people who want to be on that board, who want to be part of this, that took a big risk by speaking out last night. Let's not stop them from speaking, Mike. I'm sorry. Go ahead, play a little bit more. It'll all be on a clip that we're going to put out there for you. Just watch that.
Okay. Go ahead. Yes, Dr. Jim Intervene. I have some questions. I'm not sure exactly who to address them to, so I'll just put them out there to the board. And if somebody
He's a doctor.
Why is this firm leaving White City? Does anyone?
I think the short answer is they're not.
Oh,
It's Kenny Help.
Okay, I heard they were relocating the training to this area. I'm misinformed. Why are they?
They have lots of sites. And the primary reason that we've been told is that there's a new electric substation, since they've had the property for a couple of decades.
Yeah.
Obviously, that part of the county in Jackson County is growing. What was a very small transfer station is now a major electrical substation. The two side by side, talk about safety exposure risk is part of the reason.
Okay, when will this decision be made? Whether Erickson will be granted this lease? What's the timeline we're working with? Is this something that's going to happen next week? Is the decision going to be made next year? Has it already been made?
Long pause.
Yeah, it's a proposal that's in discussion right now. They don't actually have a written draft lease in front of them because we wanted to make sure that we'd gone through the process of vetting the whole thing.
No, let's stop there, Mike.
Okay, what that was?
You know why I'm laughing? Because this is Larry Graves talking about vetting the whole thing. Mike,
Yes.
take it away, buddy. Half an hour is yours.
Well, I don't have a half an hour for you on that, but that was the whole point there is that Larry Graves was very proud of the fact that he vetted manor development in such great detail. That's all.
The drone guys that were going to go out at the airport.
Yeah, and as soon as you said
Thoroughly
that, Dale,
investigated them. Go ahead.
Dale and I both looked at each other, kind of
Oh,
chuckled
brother.
last night. Yeah.
They don't generally, these guys, they don't understand irony. Okay. When they laugh, and you tell me if I'm wrong, they're laughing at people. Okay. They're laughing at the residents. It's a kind of it's the Dave Toller kind of laugh. Ho, ho, ho. It's totally different than the laugh that you all know that Mike Jones has, where it's explosive. Or Sandy Casanelli. Good. I could tell her laugh from 5 blocks away. Okay. It means that they're both laughable. That's okay. But these guys, they don't laugh. Have you ever seen Cheryl Walker laughing about something? Keith Heck? Right. They don't find any humor in any of this at all. We do find humor in it, and that's why we play back clips and laugh about them. But what this guy wants to know is what the commissioners are trying to tell you, what Cheryl Walker's trying to tell you is, look, this isn't any done deal. Why, look, we're out here and we're collecting your information just like we did last time with manor development. It's exactly the same. So you can just relax, because just like the fire ordinances, we're not moving ahead without the players being involved. Why would we do that with the 7 cheese pizza, the 7 county IGA? Or why would we do that with this thing about the arsenic in the water? Or why would we do that with not telling the school board that they're fully on board of something they're not fully on board with? Why would we go ahead, say the commissioners, with any kind of project where you'd have to doubt our sincerity? We have beautiful, wonderful, full height trust level.
Mm.
And as
I was not aware of that.
yes, they do. And as was in the Daily Courier this weekend, the story about Erickson. They're now called Erickson, not Erickson Air Crane. Here is Roger Brandt saying these things are extremely loud, and we have people who have moved out here to get away from noise. And they say he's a longtime tourism promoter. He said the nuisance could deter people from retiring the area. But Larry Graves pointed out that the helicopters are often already at the airport. Of course, different kind of helicopter, and they're there and gone. And they're not hovering for half an hour or something. And they're not the loudest helicopter on earth. But as Larry Graves put, I believe their noise impact on the airport would be less than what is accepted by the FAA, Federal Aviation. Really less. So what Larry is then saying is, this isn't going to damage any human hearing. What's the matter with you? It's less. The FAA will approve this, of course.
Yeah, but I mean, the silly part about that, of course, is that you can't, just because you say something doesn't change what reality will be.
They do it all the time.
But the thing is that if all of a sudden when the helicopters are flying in there, people do have damaged hearing or their lives are disrupted, that is going to be something that is, and you won't be able to do anything about it. It's just like vetting manner development. Just by saying you vetted them doesn't mean that you have vetted them. But when somebody's ears get damaged by loud noises and their ears are ringing, they're really ringing.
Well, the other thing too is that, of course, there's an effect on people's lives. I mean, here are people who care about the smell of marijuana because it's going to affect your life, but they don't care about ear damaging noise. Potentially. Why would Erickson even want to move here? And they've shown a couple of indications that maybe they don't, because they don't want this kind of opposition. Well, move. You just heard they have lots of sites. Then pick another one in the desert. What's the matter with you? Don't pick a bedroom community. Look, here's what the other thing this story is about. This is not just about helicopters and noise and Ivy. This is about people. If we ever get a chance to see more clips from them without me talking about it, this is about people who got together and said, you know what? Maybe we're full of beans. They don't think that they are, but we don't want this. And it's about people, and we try to enable them. My feeling is, and I've said this many times to you, whether you're geniuses or lunkheads, you are the people, and we're going to back you up. And so if you've decided that this is something you want or you don't want, I want marijuana, Mr. Matthews. I don't want it, you idiot Dale. Okay. Or I do want gravel trucks running through our bedroom community. I don't want them. I do want this noise level in our community, and we'll just all wear headphones. I don't want it. Whatever it is that you decide. Is this a radical idea? I guess it is. Whatever it is that you decide that you want, we're going to back you. Mike?
Well, I don't know that I would go that far because I'm not a commissioner or anything. So I can say whatever I want to. I can disagree with these people about, you should love helicopters. You should love them. I have to yell.
Well, you're going to have to yell that loud so they can hear you. Right. But the point is, we try to give you a voice here. We're taking it away by talking so much, but we try to give you a voice here and let you say what you think. And where that rubber really hit the road was with the city council, with the Grants Pass City Council. Because people came and they talked and they talked and they talked and they talked and they tried and tried and tried. And the answer from the Grants Pass City Council was, I didn't hear any reasons.
Yeah.
Didn't hear any reasons.
Well, what it was is I didn't hear any reasons that agreed with my way of thinking. Ergo, you said nothing to me except no. That I heard. You said no.
The noise that destroys.
No new taxes. Yes, I heard that. Yes, I hear.
And so now they're complaining. We're going to do a nice show about this tomorrow.
Yeah.
Now they're complaining that people are disagreeing with them, and they're all idiots. Like Art Harvey said, people who question government are morons. He said that. Okay, all right. Next clip from this doctor. Go ahead, take it away, Doc.
Well, because every lease is different, so we have the ability to put provisions in a lease that might be apropos to that particular company or circumstance.
And who makes this decision? Who signs this thing?
Well, I sign the leases, and also the liaison commissioner would have to agree.
Just the two of them.
Will public opinion matter as to whether you sign this lease or not?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
What legal recourse do we have to stop this? If we don't want it as a community, and you decide that it's in the best interests, what recourse? Who do we go to?
Good
Yeah.
question, buddy. Good question. Okay, you need to then do the same thing that Cheryl Walker and Larry Graves did on our dime. They flew up to Washington State to lobby the FAA up there to get the FAA to change federal law so that they could put things like, not specifically this, but things like we revealed from the Manor Development top secret contract. It was. They idiots. They posted it on their website. So we gave it to you. We gave it to you. We're not holding on to the information. It's their confidential business plan, and their confidential business plan for Manor Development. This is one reason why the people at the airport love us. Said that they wanted to build condominiums on the airport. Well, can we do that? I want to be able to do such a thing. And so they're going to the federal government now and trying to get Carl Wilson to join in on them, with them, and get the FAA to change federal law so that they can do things like building condominiums at the airport instead of it using it for aviation. Now, there's going to be a couple of people at this meeting that will say, "Dude, I like that idea." But most of them are going, "I don't understand. What's the ramification of that?" They don't know because nobody's telling them. We're the only one they're thinking about. Well, what would that really mean? What would really mean is the airport would turn away from airport-related things because it wouldn't need to be that anymore, and then turn into a Cheryl Walker development project.
Yeah, and listen, there are a number of housing development / airport thing. These are actually quite popular, where you have homes, and they're then there's planes parked in the front yard.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing, and maybe something like that would actually work and not be that intrusive down there. But that isn't really the point, because the doctor asked what recourse do we have if you guys are thinking that this is all in the best interest of the county and whatever? What recourse? They said, well, you take it up with the FAA. Well, I don't think, that's where you go if you want to get mired in red tape, probably. But I believe that you go directly to a lawyer and say, what would you do about this? And they'll let the lawyer handle that, because I believe that they could, start throwing lawsuits around, and they'd probably get a hell of a lot more action than you would if you called the FAA on the phone.
Now, let's suppose that this was project number 20 of an endless string of wonderful successes by the county commissioners and Larry Graves. And you would say, well, I don't know about this one. The jury's still out, but since they've had so many successes, this is probably another winner. But this is exactly the opposite situation. We had a thing on Thanksgiving Day where we couldn't identify one winning project that these guys have come up with ever. They've all been disasters. Mike, am I wrong about this?
No. And, I don't know what it is about the thinking of these people that this is not conducive to success somehow. But,
well, it's a bad way to start. Okay. And when people were trying to bring up the similarity of lack of information and a rush to judgment and making up your mind before anybody decides anything, and they did sign that contract very quickly for Manor Development, they were drawing these parallels. Kenny Houck, running the meeting, did not want that to happen. He kept stopping people from drawing the parallels. Well, that has nothing to do with now. And they go, sure it does. It's this and this and this. No, it has nothing to do with, let's not dwell on the past. Kenny, are you running this meeting, or are you being a county commissioner? Really? What's your goal here? Well, I'm with the Chamber of Commerce. Don't criticize the newspaper. The president of the Chamber of Commerce runs the newspaper. I have a thing about this. Okay, play the next clip. Thanks. Back to the
If
doctor.
there is an issue and that can't be resolved by dealing with the parties directly, either the county or Erickson Air Crane, and of course I'm planning on dealing with Erickson Air Crane directly
By himself.
to resolve questions. Then it would be appropriate to go to the FAA, and it would be the airport's district office in Seattle.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So Larry made it clear that he's going to handle this.
Yeah.
Right. He's going to talk with Erickson. And and I think that Cheryl Walker probably got involved immediately. The pressure brought to bear, if you think one way or another on this, I'd love to have them there, is to talk directly with Erickson. Just look them up on the web and get in touch with them. The Courier did very easily, got in touch with the pilot out there. They had the public relations and information really wasn't available to talk to anybody on this subject. But some of the people out there have talked with the folks there, and they've indicated to them, you know, we're not quite sure that we want to move to a community where there's this much public opposition. But they're getting strong feedback from the commissioner and from Larry Graves. Oh, no, 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 no. Everything's okay. These are just the typical complainers. The place was packed. But, you know, there were only just a few dozen people there. Oh, there were only 40. Gee, I think there was 60. Who knows? But it was packed. There was standing room only. So, next clip, please.
This is not a traditional use for an airport or a normal aeronautical use. This is physically harmful. Another moment of your time. I'm not used to public speaking.
Well, he can go a little further.
Okay.
Thank you.
It doesn't make any sense to me to hurt a smoke jumper museum like this, which is a successful business museum here on the airport, to try to bring in some new venture that will damage this museum. This is what I said last meeting. This is severe damage to the museum. You cannot stand out here. You can't do any tours in these buildings. 97% of this museum is tours, and about 50% of that is children. So if you think this has no effect on the museum, that's just not true. That's really, really unfair. Okay, that's number one. Number two, you can't mitigate with a company like Erickson. They've already let us down on the valid tests. They've already promised last time they're going to come out here and do valid tests. They don't do them. You know, they come out here and do a test, and who's out here? Dave and I and a few others. Steve tried to come out. Scott came out one day. They don't let people know that they're coming out here, and they didn't have a load under their chopper. If you have a load under it, it's going to be a lot louder. We measured it one day, it was 105 decibels, and they had no load out here. Now, I don't know if you understand what 105 decibel means, but our conversations normally here are 60, 65 decibels. Jim pointed this out. 105, 110 decibels is about 100,000 times more noise. Now, unless you're out here appreciating this and blowing your eardrums out, it hurts and hurts and hurts. Man said it in here. Same thing. I was out here when Mans was out here. This hurts your ears for a month, weeks. This is a medical, I don't know, Jim explained it, but it's true.
It's an injury.
It's an injury. Okay. Another question here is, you know, I live back here about a mile from here when the cranes are here in the summer. If I'm inside my house and I'm home and the cranes are flying, I got to go put earplugs in inside my house. The windows are rattling, the dishes in the kitchen are rattling, and I live a mile from here. Now, these people, these neighborhood around, this is not just an airport. This is a neighborhood and a community. And this is what everybody has to understand. If people make these decisions and they don't live out here, then they can't appreciate this. This is damaging to the community, damaging to the neighborhood, and damaging to the museum. So, if you're going to damage people's property values out here, then you have to compensate them for that. So if you're going to go ahead and say, we'll take this in for $8,500 a year, and this is such an important endeavor and all this stuff, what about their values? Then those people within 2 or 3 miles of the airport should be property tax exempt for the next 50 years. Okay, the last thing here I'm going to talk about is, I just read this letter here, And it says number 4, any legitimate aeronautical activity may establish activities and use the airport for legal purposes. Neither county officials nor the airport manager may decline use of the airport to legal entities for legal purposes. Well, what that's saying is that everybody in the room here has no say-so over anything. Because the FAA or I don't know who, the county is going to ram it down our throats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a question about people getting what they want. It's a question about serving the boss, which is the people. It's a question about public servants that don't seem to be doing that public service. But at least people got a chance to say what they think. But the official answer from Cheryl Walker and Larry Graves is, we have to do this. And so this is why they're asking, well, wait a minute, is this a done deal or not a done deal? Well, you can always talk with the FAA. Now, hold on a second.
Yeah, they seem to be saying there last night that they're under some sort of legal obligation to like if Erickson comes there and says we want to be at this airport, that somehow they're under a legal obligation to allow them to be at the airport, and that somehow you'd be opening the county up to lawsuits of discrimination.
That's the word they used.
Yeah, if you didn't allow this situation to take place, which I think might be stretching it a little bit. I don't understand why.
Just before you don't understand,
Okay.
There were a number of pilots there, and of course, it's an airport, that were in the room. And they said, no, this is, if somebody wants to land here or take off from here, you can't say, oh, we don't want your kind here. But if somebody wants to lease some space here, you can't. Everybody and their brother involved in aviation, and they're trying to open it up to more. Really? Marijuana growing at the airport? Alyssum growing? Everybody? Whatever they want to do? Really? And so condominiums? Yeah, sure. Now, what these people said, I don't know who's right, is of course you have some say over who you're going to rent or lease to. What are you, crazy? Just not landing and taking off and not hovering.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it's odd that the commissioner and Larry Graves wouldn't just be there to hear what the feedback is so that they could use that in their decision-making process instead of coming in there as an advocate for now. And to be honest,
she had this printed up before she arrived.
Yeah, but she wasn't. Neither one of them were openly advocating for Erickson, but they were making noises as though, well, if they want to be here, they can be here if they want to be here, and there's really nothing we can do about it, and blah blah blah. But that just seems like an odd way to go, as though they were advocating, and in other words, they were careful not to make any arguments that would counter Erickson Air Crane coming there.
Well, we said this many times, that if you only want to obey just the strict letter of the law, which the commissioners don't, this is why they're in trouble. If you just wanted to do that, then all commissioners would be lawyers. But that's not why they get involved. Judges too. That's not why they get involved. They get involved when the people say, okay, listen, maybe this is a rule, but there's something wrong with the rules. This is crazy. And that's when the commissioners, look, remember the people that were trying to move out to the Ivy Airport that want to set up a parachute school, a skydiving school?
Yeah.
Now, the commissioners at that time said, well, same commissioners, well, there's nothing we can do to stop them. And there were some people there that said, wait a minute, let me see if I got this clear. Now, this is not the same situation, because these helicopter pilots that are getting training from Erickson will not be newbies, because you're not going to do that and fly this kind of thing. But these would be brand new parachute trainees, okay? I was one of those at one time. And so they put me out in the wrong spot, and I did not land in the right spot. Okay, but it wasn't my fault. Anyway, broke my leg, but whatever, I still had a fun time. So some of those people are going to go off course. And there were a number of people who said, you know, I'm not really sure I want that above me. Now, they said at the time, we can't do anything, we can't do anything, we can't do anything. But did those guys move in there? No. Well, why did they not move in there? They did not move in there because they got some verbal feedback, let's put it, from the commissioners, and they got a lot of feedback from the people who live there. They're not against all kinds of things. They have a smoke jumper museum. Smoke jumper museum. Come on now. But they didn't want that kind of thing there. They got lots of things there that make noise. It's an airport, but they don't want noise that permanently damages your hearing. Is that unreasonable?
Yeah, I don't think it is. I mean, generally speaking, being completely objective to this and going in there last night, I don't think that I would want to have this around my house.
Right. And they kept laughing at the citizens. You see, when you can't make up your mind, first evaluate how the people are acting. Okay. There were people in this room who were, oh, think about the petunias or whatever. I mean, I'm making this up, right? But, there were people like that. And God bless them. I'm glad somebody's watching out for the petunias. Okay. But there were also a number of people there, like the doctor and Kenny Houck, not Kenny Houck, the guy that was speaking there at the last, that guy's on the airport board, right? And you were a little reticent to talk about this because you could have your head handed to you by the commissioners. But he did speak up about this. He was pretty compelling in what he said. But when you've got these guys who are laughing at you, I didn't play all that, but we're going to have more of that in the full-length video. It won't be full-length. I'm not putting up 2.5 hours, but with more of it. They were just laughing. Well, as the two of them said, they said, well, why don't you, they were trying to task the citizens to do things. Well, why don't you put together a list of this, of the potential, other places they could go? I think that was one of them. One of them I know that they said is, why don't you come up with a list of what the negatives would be for the community? And I said, I just couldn't help it. Sorry. I know I'm supposed to just sit there, run the camera. I said, wait a minute. Who's being paid around here? I'm tasking you. You put together the list of what the negatives are. Why are you asking us to do it? You're paid. The two of you are paid. I'm saying to you, as my public servants, I want you to put together a list of what the negatives are. Not just the positives. Tell us what the negative impacts are. Don't be tasking the citizens and laughing at them. They kept laughing at people. Cheryl did that today in this meeting today. Well, you got the complainers out there. There's a couple of them especially. I wonder who she meant. And, they just can't, And Simon Harris says, well, when they say that we've already made up our mind, that, that's just propaganda. There's Simon Hare, in case you wondered how he felt about this. Yeah. Nice. Tomorrow, we will have a show that I think you're going to find kind of funny, and you can vote on it. It's Sundays and Wednesdays are especially outrageous. We play our most outrageous theme shows, and then you can vote on them. Next week, the weekly business session will not be at 5:30 in the evening. They try to have one every month that's in the evening so you can attend. They decided not to do that next week, so that idea of attending, that's out the window because they would like to have a little more time to themselves. So that's not going to be possible. Let's see. On Thursday, the commissioners are supposed to be talking about the new fire ordinances. Really, I thought that we were going to have to wait a couple of months for that, but they're going to be talking about it tomorrow. Today, they were going to have a meeting about public relations with Wally Hicks. What the heck does that mean? That's all that it said, public relations. That's their only topic, public relations. With Wally Hicks? What could that possibly be? Public relations with the county legal counsel. What? Well, I got there, and they decided just to take that off the record, and they didn't say anything about it. So I asked them at the end of the meeting, what happened to that? Oh, that's not on there. Hey, so you know what it's back to? Remember what they got in trouble with the state for? That's not good English. For which they got, oh, never mind. Got in trouble with the state for? They were putting matters from commissioners on executive sessions. Guess what happened today? And what's going to happen Thursday? Matters from commissioners.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think that's breaking state law, which it is, then the only remedy is not to go to the state. Good luck with that anyway. We've been doing it for years. You have to bring out a lawsuit, which is, once again, all the justice that money will buy. Mike, do you have anything to say in summary, my friend?
No.
Okay.
I have to say that that looks like a very loud helicopter behind you, although
Yes.
I can't hear it right now.
Yeah, right, because our ears are
I
blocked.
have special hearing protection in.
Well, good night, everybody, and thanks for joining us. Look to our website or to Facebook for a longer version of this. It's going to look more beautiful, include more people, and maybe have your comments in there, but it will be, I think, a representative sample with some people saying positive things, most of them saying negative things, and the commissioner's take on all this was pretty much it was a good time was had by all.